You ever scroll through Instagram and see someone's life looking just perfect, like totally put together? And then you remember that time you, I don't know, wore your shirt inside out to work?
Happens to the best of us.
Ah,
Well, today we're kind of peeling back that curtain.
right. We're looking at people you think you know, but uncovering some, well, seriously unexpected twists and turns.
Get ready for some wait, really moments.
That's silly. Forget the polished story.
Exactly. For this deep dive, we've grabbed a whole mix of stuff. We've got Margot Robbie behind the scenes, some celebrity stories that are just
Wow, stranger than fiction.
pretty much, and a load of tales about, regular folks and big names who found success in ways you just wouldn't expect.
They're the mission here.
Simple, really.
Yeah.
Connect some dots, give you the lowdown on resilience, hidden talents, we all have them, right? And those paths to success that are, let's be honest, rarely straight lines.
Consider it your shortcut to feeling like super clued in.
And maybe, just maybe, inspired to dig out that old skill you learned years ago.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, Margot Robbie. Big star, Barbie, all that.
We all know her from the screen, yeah.
But here's the surprise. Forget acting for a sec. Did you know she went to circus school as a kid?
No way, circus school.
Seriously. And she wasn't just messing around. Apparently she was good. Especially the trapeze. Got a certificate and everything at age 8.
8 years old, wow, I was still figuring out Lego.
Right, me too.
But it makes you wonder, doesn't it, how those really early skills might feed into things later.
How so?
Well, think about Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. There was some serious physical stuff there, right? Aerial silks.
Oh yeah, the stunts.
Exactly. Maybe that trapeze work wasn't so random after all. It's a good reminder that stuff we learn early on, even if it seems totally unrelated, can actually, come back and be useful.
You never know when that macrame class is going to pay off.
Precisely. Keep those skills sharp.
So it wasn't all high flying though. Back in high school, while she was at drama school, she was also working. Not one job, but 3.
3 jobs.
Yep. Bartender, cleaner, and wait for it.
Yeah.
A Subway sandwich artist.
Wow. Okay, that's some serious hustle.
Makes my paper round seem a bit tame.
But that kind of work ethic, starting young like that, it often builds something, grit, resilience, an understanding of just, working hard.
Yeah, you can see that. It's not all glamour.
Definitely not. A lot of successful people have that background of just grafting.
Okay, here's a fun one. Especially if you, grew up in the 90s. She's a huge Mighty Ducks fan.
The movies, quack, quack.
The very same, like a massive fan. So much so, when she moved to the U.S., she didn't just watch them again. She joined an ice hockey league.
She joined a league.
Uh-huh. And apparently there were group Halloween costumes involved. Picture Margot Robbie, maybe Harley Quinn, in a Ducks jersey.
That's amazing. And actually quite relatable, isn't it?
Totally.
Having those slightly nerdy passions, it makes a global superstar seem a bit more normal.
Like somebody you might actually meet.
Yeah.
If they also played ice hockey.
Right. And speaking of relatable obsessions.
Where are we going now?
What?
Love Island.
No, really?
Yes, huge fan. Owns the official water bottle, apparently.
The ultimate merch.
Pretty much. She even joked that if she'd gone to university, she'd write her thesis on it.
Okay. That's commitment.
And it gets better. You know the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Chris Taylor from Love Island has a cameo in it.
Shut up. The crossover we never knew we needed.
Exactly. It's just a fun, humanizing little detail, isn't it?
Definitely. So putting all these random pieces together for Margot Robbie, what's the takeaway?
I think it shows that success isn't just one thing, right? It's this mix. Unexpected skills from childhood, like the trapeze, that early hustle from working those jobs.
Right, the grit.
And just having these normal, relatable passions like Mighty Ducks or Love Island. It all adds up.
So the weird stuff, the hard work, the fun stuff, it all contributes.
Yeah, exactly. It makes for a more interesting life and maybe a more resilient career path, too.
Okay, cool. Let's switch gears now. From movie stars to, moments that make you go, wait, what? Oh, these are good. Celebrity encounters that are definitely not your typical red carpet stuff.
These are the stories that prove fame can be really, really weird.
Let's just say they pull back the curtain in unexpected ways.
All right, first one, Prince. The purple one.
Legend.
He rents a massive house in Beverly Hills from Carlos Boozer, the NBA player.
Okay, standard enough so far.
But wait. Prince, then, apparently completely secretly renovates the entire place.
Secretly renovates like the owner didn't know?
Nope. Boozer supposedly drove past his own house and didn't even recognize it.
Get out. How do you even do that?
I have no idea. Imagine the conversation about the deposit.
It's just wild. The sheer nerve and the detail. Didn't he turn the weight room into a nightclub?
He did. A weight room. Gone. Now it's a nightclub.
That's just peak Prince, maybe. Operating on a completely different plane of existence.
You really couldn't make it up. But the Prince weirdness continues.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith, Clerks, Mallrats.
Sure, the director.
He wanted to use Prince's song, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, in a movie.
Okay.
Prince's response wasn't just yes or no. Apparently, he first gives Kevin Smith a lecture about all the swearing in his films.
Seriously, a lecture on profanity from Prince.
Seems so. But then, right after that, he invites Smith over to Paisley Park to work on some unreleased documentary.
For free.
For free. So you get told off for bad language, but then you get this amazing, unique opportunity, but unpaid.
What a bizarre exchange. It really shows those eccentricities, doesn't it?
Totally. That mix of being kind of preachy, but also offering this cool, creative thing.
It's memorable, that's for sure. Shows that even icons have their quirks, their contradictions.
So what's the big lesson from these completely bonkers celebrity stories?
I guess it's just a funny reminder that fame doesn't equal, like, normal interactions. Even the biggest stars have these odd, surprising moments that kind of shatter the image we have of them.
A peek behind the velvet rope, and it's sometimes just weird.
Exactly. Everyone's got their strange stories.
Okay, so we've had the Hollywood hustle, the celeb weirdness. Let's go a bit deeper now.
Right. Shifting focus.
We're looking at broader themes now, how people hit success through paths you'd never guess, and that amazing ability some people have to just bounce back.
Yeah, resilience. And we're pulling from this collection called Entrepreneur Inspiration 2017.
And trust me, it's packed with stories that make you think.
It really drives home that the road to, well, anywhere meaningful is rarely straightforward. Lots of bumps.
Definitely. And it starts with this killer line. It takes 20 years to create overnight success.
That hits home, doesn't it?
Totally resets your expectations.
Yeah. It challenges that whole myth of instant fame or fortune. So much work goes on unseen for so long.
Perfect example. Pokémon. Remember Pokémon?
Of course.
Satoshi Tajiri had the idea, but it took him 15 years to actually get it out there and make it huge.
15 years. Wow.
And Pokémon Go, that thing that had us all walking into lampposts. Apparently, that was 20 years in the making somehow. From initial concepts to global phenomenon.
20 years. That shows serious dedication to an idea, doesn't it? Sticking with it, tweaking it.
Exactly. Long game.
Yeah.
And then there's Momofuku Ando.
The name sounds familiar.
Inventor of pot noodles? Or instant ramen, generally.
Okay.
He invented them when he was 61.
61.
Yep. After failing in other businesses, even spending time in jail.
No kidding.
Yeah. Just proves the point in the doc. Never too old to dream a new dream.
That's actually really inspiring. After all that, to still create something massive at 61? Wow.
Never give up on the noodle dream.
Okay.
Okay, now for a story that's just incredibly powerful. Yusra Mardini.
Tell me more.
Syrian refugee. She was 17 on a packed, broken-down dinghy going from Turkey to Greece. 20 people.
Okay. Scary situation.
Engine fails. She and her sister, who are both swimmers, jump into the freezing water.
Oh, my God.
They swam for 3 hours, pulling this failing boat until they reached shore. Saved everyone.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Pulling a boat?
Yeah. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she went on to compete in the Olympics for the refugee squad.
That is just breathtaking resilience. Unbelievable bravery.
Right. From that horror to the Olympics. Just wow.
Truly finding strength you didn't know you had.
And speaking of tough starts, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Huge star now.
But when he was 14, his family went through bankruptcy, got evicted. Rock bottom, basically.
Holy, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Look at him now, though. It shows how facing that kind of hardship early on can, well, fuel you.
Definitely. A powerful motivator to build something secure.
In another one, using tough times as fuel. Jim Carrey.
Funny guy, obviously.
His motivation. He said it was depression. I had a sick mom. I wanted to make her feel better.
Wow, that puts a different spin on it.
Totally. And his early stand-up. Bombed. Terribly.
Really? He seems so naturally funny.
Apparently not at first. But his dad kept encouraging him. And years before he made it big, he wrote himself a check for $10 million.
A check to himself.
Yeah. Dated it for the future, carried it in his wallet. A visualization thing.
Okay.
Then, sadly, his dad passed away. Jim put that check in his father's casket.
Oh, wow.
As a thank you for believing in him. And about a year later, he actually earned $10 million for a role.
That's incredibly moving. The belief, the connection, the eventual success, powerful stuff.
Right. Real emotional weight
Mm-hmm.
behind the comedy. Then you got Jia Yueting.
Who's that?
Founded Lico, called the Netflix of China. Went from working in a tax office to becoming a billionaire.
Quite the jump.
Yeah, and apparently this was happening while Elon Musk was reportedly broke. He even launched other companies like Lee Music.
Shows how fast things can change in tech, doesn't it? And how different fortunes can be even at the top.
Totally. Now think about Christopher Reeve, Superman.
Of course. His accident was devastating.
Absolutely. But his response, after being paralyzed, he said, "Your body is not who you are. The mind and spirit transcend the body."
Powerful words.
Yeah, he completely shifted his focus, his advocacy, still made a huge impact.
An amazing example of the strength of the human spirit. Finding purpose beyond physical limits.
And talk about overcoming Tina Turner.
What a legend, what a life.
The horrific abuse from Ike Turner. A suicide attempt. Just awful.
Unimaginable challenges.
But then, at 34, she found Buddhism, found some peace, and finally at 44, boom, global solo superstardom with Private Dancer.
44. It's incredible, surviving all that and then rebuilding her life and career so successfully, and later in life, too.
Such a powerful story of resilience. Never too late.
Absolutely. And then Beyoncé, even she had tough times.
Really? Seems like she's always been on top.
Apparently, after a difficult period, she faced a choice. She said, I can give up or I can go on.
And we know which one she chose.
We certainly do, but it highlights that moment, that conscious decision to keep going is crucial.
Yeah, that mindset. Okay, Yolanda Mabika, another powerful one.
Tell me about her.
Separated from her family during conflict in Congo, ended up at a displacement camp, found judo there.
Judo gave her focus.
Exactly. But later faced exploitation from her coach while competing internationally. Yet she said, "Judo never gave me money, but it gave me a strong heart."
Wow, that perspective. Finding inner strength through passion, even amidst hardship, more valuable than money.
Right. Then there's Oprah. We all know her story, but she's been very open about struggling with her weight.
Yes, for years.
Her decision to invest heavily in Weight Watchers. It shows how you can turn personal struggles into, well, significant business opportunities.
Leveraging your own experience, connecting with others who share it. Smart and impactful.
And Monique Matthewson fell from a balcony, suffered amnesia,
Oh, goodness.
but made an inspiring comeback to swimming using a prosthetic mermaid leg.
Incredible. Adapting, finding new ways to pursue her passion after something so traumatic.
That adaptability is key, isn't it? And remember that crazy Super Bowl? Patriots versus Falcons?
Oh, yeah, the comeback. Down by so much.
Down 28-3. Ended up winning 34-28 in overtime. Insane.
Unbelievable game.
And Tom Brady's mindset through it all. Just always play to win. Never count yourself out.
That mental toughness, that belief, even when it looks impossible, that's huge.
Not everyone adapts.
Right.
Right. Think about Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster, yeah. Didn't see Netflix coming, did they?
Nope. Basically ignored the shift to streaming. While Netflix was like, what do people want next? And just kept changing.
A perfect cautionary tale, isn't it? Adapt or,
Yeah,
well, become obsolete.
totally. Now, a classic entrepreneurial story.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Branson, starting Virgin Airways,
How did that happen again?
his flight to Puerto Rico got canceled. So he just chartered a plane himself.
Okay. Bold move.
Then he got a little blackboard, wrote Virgin Airways, $39 one way, and just sold seats to the other stranded passengers.
Huh. That's brilliant. Just saw a problem, made a solution, and started a business on the spot.
Pure Branson. Seizing the opportunity. Now think about rejection. Brian
The
Acton
name rings a bell.
got turned down for jobs at both Twitter and Facebook.
Ouch. That's got his sting.
Big time. But then he co-founded WhatsApp,
Ah, WhatsApp. Okay.
which Facebook later bought for $19 billion.
19 billion after rejecting him. Wow.
So rejection isn't the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just points you somewhere else, maybe somewhere much better.
Definitely a lesson in perseverance there. And sometimes failure is just research. Kevin Systrom.
Instagram guy.
Yeah. His first app, Bird Warren, was kind of a flop. Didn't really take off.
Okay.
But the photo sharing part of it was popular, so they pivoted, focused on that, and boom, Instagram.
So the failure was actually crucial for finding the success.
Exactly. Learning what didn't work helped them find what did. Failure as R&D.
Makes sense. Then there's age. Nick D'Aloisio,
Sure.
sold his app, Sumly, which summarized news articles, to Yahoo for $30 million.
Okay, impressive.
He was 17.
17. $30 million.
Yeah, makes you feel like an underachiever, doesn't it?
Seriously, age is clearly no barrier to big ideas and big success.
And sometimes ideas that seem kind of bad at first.
Mhm.
Fred Smith,
FedEx founder.
that's him. His college paper outlining the idea for an overnight delivery service, he got a C grade.
A C for the FedEx idea.
Yep. The professor thought it wasn't feasible. Shows that even experts can miss groundbreaking ideas.
You gotta believe in your idea even if others don't get it at first.
Definitely. And resourcefulness. The Airbnb guys,
What about them?
early on, struggling for cash, they funded the company by designing and selling breakfast cereal.
Cereal. Seriously.
Yeah, limited edition boxes themed around the 2008 election. Obama O's and Cat McCain's. They call themselves serial entrepreneurs.
That is wonderfully weird and creative. Talk about bootstrapping.
Thinking outside the cereal box. Then Frank Wang.
DJI drones.
Exactly. Turned his childhood passion for model helicopters into a multi-billion-dollar drone company.
Following that passion, right? Finding what you love and building on it.
It can clearly pay off.
Yeah.
And conviction. Evan Spiegel at Snapchat
What did he do?
turned down a $3 billion acquisition offer from Facebook. $3 billion.
Wow. That takes some serious nerve. And belief in your own vision.
Right. Betting on yourself in a huge way.
Yeah.
Then you have the long game players like Warren Buffett.
Investing legend.
Learned from his mentor, Benjamin Graham, and just patiently built his empire over decades.
Consistency, learning, long-term vision. Not flashy, but incredibly powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jack Ma at Alibaba
Another huge success story.
faced tons of rejections early on. Applied for dozens of jobs, got turned down. Even KFC rejected him,
About KFC. Wow.
but kept going. Eventually built Alibaba into that global giant. IPO was massive.
Shows that perseverance again. Keep knocking on doors. Or
No.
build your own massive door.
Exactly. And this idea of Shoshin, beginner's mind.
What's that?
It's about approaching things with openness, curiosity, like you're seeing them for the first time, not assuming you know everything.
Ah, okay. Like staying humble and ready to learn no matter how experienced you are.
Yeah. Crucial for adapting, for growth. And Viktor Frankl's idea.
The psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust.
Yeah. He wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how."
Deep. Having that sense of purpose gets you through the toughest time.
Lowly. It gives you resilience.
Yeah.
Then there's Steve Jobs, famous for his attention to detail.
Oh, yeah. Legendarily meticulous.
There's a story about Vic Gundotra from Google getting a call from Jobs on a Sunday morning.
Oh. What about?
The shade of yellow in the Google logo on the iPhone icon. It wasn't quite right.
Seriously. The specific shade of yellow on a Sunday.
Yep. That level of obsession with getting every single detail perfect, that's part of what made Apple products so revolutionary.
That commitment to quality is just intense,
Mm.
but clearly effective.
Right. Now, a great sports story. Joseph Schooling, the swimmer from Singapore,
Okay.
grew up idolizing Michael Phelps. Met him as a kid. Then he started breaking Phelps' age group records.
Following in his hero's footsteps.
Exactly. Then at one Olympics, Schooling had a disappointing race, and Phelps actually comforted him.
Nice gesture from the legend.
Totally. Fast forward to the 2016 Rio Olympics. 100-meter butterfly final. Schooling versus Phelps.
down.
Schooling wins gold,
Oh, yeah.
beats his childhood hero.
Wow. What a full circle moment. Incredible.
Dream achieved, right? Okay, another entrepreneur, Cheng Wei.
Founder of Didi Chuxing, the Uber of China.
Right. Here's the thing. He can't drive.
The founder of a giant ride-sharing company can't drive.
Nope. But he says it helps him understand the customer experience better. He's always a passenger.
Huh. Turning a potential weakness into a strength. Smart.
And he was strategic, too. Merged Didi with their biggest competitor, Kuwaiti Dash. Bold move.
Sometimes collaboration is smarter than constant fighting.
And networking. Huge factor. Right. The PayPal Mafia, all those guys who went on to found other massive companies like Tesla, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Yeah, that network effect is powerful. And Sarah Blakely, Spanx founder.
What about her?
Early days, she was relentlessly networking, calling people, trying to get meetings, get her product into stores, hustling connections.
It really is often about who you know or who you manage to get to know.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just about pure passion in a pitch. Masayoshi Son.
SoftBank guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Early in his career, he pitched his software to Joshin Denki, a big electronics retailer. He had no track record, just sheer enthusiasm and a vision.
How did it go?
They gave him a shot. His software apparently boosted their sales exponentially. That passion convinced them.
Sometimes enthusiasm is infectious, isn't it? It can be more powerful than a long CV.
Definitely. Now, a mother's belief. Wade van Niekerk, the South African sprinter, Olympic champion.
Record holder, yeah. Incredible athlete.
His mother, Odessa, was also a talented runner back in the apartheid era. Couldn't compete internationally. When Wade was born prematurely, doctors told her he might have disabilities.
Oh, wow. That must have been terrifying.
But she never stopped believing in him. And he obviously proved those initial fears wrong spectacularly.
That power of parents' belief is just immense, isn't it?
Totally. And look at Alexander Hamilton.
Founding father, musical subject.
Right. He essentially built the foundations of the U.S. financial system, with apparently very limited formal training in finance beforehand.
Really? Just figured it out.
Seems like it. Learning on the fly, applying ideas, having a vision, shows the power of applied learning.
You don't always need the official piece of paper if you have the drive and the smarts.
Right. And this idea of a calling, following these archetypal journeys, like the hero's journey, but for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, those narratives resonate because there's something universal in them, isn't there? Striving, overcoming obstacles.
Finds meaning in the struggle. And Tory Burch,
Fashion designer, billionaire.
described herself as a tomboy growing up, but she connected her personal style and passion with serious business acumen.
Finding that intersection of what you love and what can be a viable business, that's the sweet spot.
Totally. And the WhatsApp guys, again, Brian Acton and John Coombe,
Back to them.
their focus. No ads, no games, no gimmicks. They stuck to that, even stayed as a paid app for a long time when everyone else was going free with ads.
That clarity of vision, sticking to your principles, it built huge user trust.
Yeah, knowing your value. Now, a shift towards bigger ideas. Basic income.
Universal basic income.
You.
UBI.
Yeah, the idea is gaining traction. What could people create if they weren't constantly worried about just making rent?
It's a fascinating thought experiment, isn't it? Could it unlock a wave of creativity, entrepreneurship, social good?
Maybe. And speaking of shifts, apparently for millennials, starting a business is now seen as less risky than trying to get a traditional job.
Wow, that's a major change in perspective. Shows how the economy and job security are evolving.
Definitely. And look at China. Huge government push for innovation and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, they see it as a key driver of economic growth, pouring resources into it.
When a whole nation gets behind that, it's powerful. Then there's Peter Thiel again,
What's he up to now?
funding Blue Seed, a plan for a giant ship, a floating city anchored in international waters off California, for startups, to bypass U.S. visa issues.
A floating city for tech startups? That's ambitious and very sci-fi.
Totally out there. But shows people are thinking radically about how to foster innovation.
And speaking of talent, think about how many major U.S. tech companies were founded by immigrants.
Google, eBay, Intel, Tesla, the list goes on.
It's a huge reminder of the value of diversity, different perspectives, global talent.
Absolutely essential. Then Herman Mashaba,
Who's he?
successful entrepreneur in South Africa, then became the mayor of Johannesburg. His focus, turning it into a city of opportunities.
Bringing that entrepreneurial mindset to city governance. Interesting approach.
Yeah, trying to create an environment where people can thrive. And then there's Asgardia.
The space nation.
Yeah, proposed as the first nation state in space. Hundreds of thousands applied for citizenship online.
People are really looking for new frontiers, aren't they? New models, new possibilities, even in space.
It seems like it. Which leads to this idea, the upgrade paradox.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, are you constantly learning, evolving, upgrading yourself? Or are you letting yourself become outdated? We need to consciously choose to grow.
Good question to ask ourselves. Are we actively upgrading?
Yeah. And Nikola Tesla,
Yeah.
he believed humanity was interconnected, like one organism.
A nice thought. We're
Right.
all in this together.
Right. And companies need to upgrade too. Look at Uber.
What about them?
They're investing massively in self-driving cars,
Yeah.
even though that could eventually disrupt their own business model of human drivers.
Right. They're trying to disrupt themselves before someone else does. Proactive change.
You have to anticipate the future, like AT&T.
Phone company.
Started with Alexander Graham Bell's invention, right? Now they're this massive telecom and media conglomerate. Decades of evolution and innovation.
Shows the power of adapting over the very long term.
And looking way ahead. Artificial diamonds.
Shiny.
Made from nuclear waste. And they could potentially act as batteries, providing clean power for thousands of years.
Whoa. Okay, that's some futuristic tech right there. Solving waste and energy problems.
Potentially. And NASA's heading to an asteroid called 16 Psyche.
Why that one?
It's thought to be the exposed metal core of an early planet. They want to study it to learn more about how Earth's core formed.
A journey to the heart of a dead planet to understand our own. Cool.
Grand-scale discovery. Peter Diamandis, the X Prize guy, lists his top trends. Things like hyperconnectivity, cheap renewable energy, extending human lifespan.
Yeah, the pace of change feels like it's accelerating, doesn't it?
Totally. And a core idea through many stories. Focus on providing value.
How so?
If you focus on genuinely helping others, creating value, then success, money, opportunities, help tends to flow towards you.
Like a natural consequence of doing good work. Makes sense.
Like Bill Gates launching breakthrough energy ventures, investing billions in clean energy innovation.
Using his success and resources to tackle a massive global challenge, providing value on a huge scale.
Right. And think about achieving social change. Martin Luther King Day.
A national holiday now, of course.
But it took years and years of campaigning, persistence by Coretta Scott King and others to make it happen after his death.
Shows that big, meaningful changes often require sustained effort over a long time. It's a marathon.
Absolutely. Then there's Chuck Feeney.
The duty-free shoppers guy. The philanthropist.
Yeah, the guy who decided to give away his entire fortune while he was still alive. Secretly, for years.
He inspired the giving pledge, right? Gates and Buffett?
Exactly. He wanted to give it all away before he died, and he did. Billions. Just incredible generosity, and it inspired others.
Setting an amazing example of using wealth for good.
And Michelle Obama as First Lady.
He did amazing work.
Yeah, initiatives like Let's Move for Kids' Health, support for military families. Using that platform for real impact beyond just traditional duties.
Making a tangible difference. And John Bon Jovi.
Rock star.
His soul kitchen restaurants. Pay what you can community restaurants. Entrepreneurs using their success to give back directly.
That's cool. Business with a conscience. Yeah.
And Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan pledging $3 billion to fund research aiming to cure, prevent, or manage all diseases by the end of the century.
Wow. Talk about a moonshot goal. Using tech wealth to tackle fundamental health challenges.
Huge ambition. Now, a bit more philosophical, washing the dishes to wash the dishes.
What does that mean? It's about mindfulness. Being fully present in whatever you're doing, even simple tasks. Finding the value in the act itself, not just rushing to finish it.
Ah, okay. Like finding moments of calm and focus in everyday life.
Exactly. And forgiveness, apparently crucial for entrepreneurs.
Forgiveness? How so?
Holding on to anger or grudges takes up mental energy. Letting go frees you up to focus on moving forward.
Makes sense. Like dropping unnecessary baggage.
Yeah. And inspiration can come from anywhere. Forrest Lai.
Founder of CLTD, big Southeast Asian tech company, Garina Shobi.
That's him. He said he was directly inspired by Steve Jobs' 2005 Stanford commencement speech.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
That one. It sparked his own entrepreneurial journey. Shows the power of words, of shared stories.
You never know what might click for someone. Then there's Ikigai.
The Japanese concept.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot where what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for all overlap.
Your reason for being, basically. A framework for purpose and flow.
Sounds like a pretty good goal to aim for.
Totally. And sometimes getting fired can be a good thing.
How?
There's a story of someone getting fired from a job for like being too generous with customers or something. But they took that principle and started their own successful company based on it.
Wow. Turning a negative into a positive, sticking to their values.
Yeah, sometimes a setback is actually a redirection. And perspective.
Oh.
A guide in Vietnam
What about them?
had lost absolutely everything, family, home, everything during the war, but rebuilt his life, found success, seemed genuinely content.
Puts things in perspective, doesn't it? True resilience, finding happiness beyond material loss.
Makes you think about what really matters. And sometimes luck plays a part. Martin.
Just Martin.
Yeah, a guy who apparently helped out a small startup in its early days. Just offered some advice, made some connections. That startup later got bought by Walmart. For his help, they'd given him some stock options. Turned out to be worth $20 million.
$20 million, just for helping out.
Seems so. Right place, right time, being helpful. Sometimes opportunities just appear.
You got to be open to them, I guess. Now, getting really philosophical, the idea that our sense of a fixed self, a crystallized being, is an illusion.
Woo! Heavy. Like we're constantly changing, not just one solid thing.
Yeah, finding truth maybe and recognizing we're both nothing and everything, always in flux. Deep thoughts.
Definitely something to chew on. And the analogy of the raindrop on a branch.
How does that go?
It's clinging on, afraid to fall into the river below,
Okay.
but it doesn't realize that when it lets go, it becomes the river.
A metaphor for embracing change, letting go of fear, merging with something bigger.
Yeah, trusting the process, maybe. And a classic lesson, Dr. Seuss's The Sneetches.
With the stars on their bellies, star on, star off machines.
Exactly. All that fuss about who had stars and who didn't. Ultimately, it was meaningless, superficial.
A great lesson about inner value versus external status symbols. Still relevant.
Totally. It's what's inside that counts.
Yeah.
And finally, the pentathlon.
The Olympic sport. 5 events.
Running, swimming, fencing, riding, shooting. Think about them as metaphors.
How so?
Running for perseverance, swimming for flow, fencing for strategy and precision, riding for partnership and adaptability, shooting for focus. All different skills you need in life, in business.
Huh. That's a neat way to look at it. A well-rounded approach to tackling challenges requires a mix of skills.
Exactly. It's not just one thing.
So wow, we've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. From Margot Robbie's unexpected circus skills and serious hustle.
Yeah, and those completely bizarre but hilarious celebrity encounters.
Prince's decorated skills, yes.
Hmm.
But more than that, all those stories.
Right, the deeper dive into how success so often comes from completely unexpected places. Left field, really.
And how resilience, that ability to bounce back from, well, frankly, terrible situations sometimes, is almost like a superpower.
It really is. Those seemingly random skills you picked up, the tough times you got through, they might be the exact things setting you up for what's next.
Which kind of brings us to the final thought for you listening.
Yeah, think about your own story.
Your own highlight reel, sure, but maybe the blooper reel too. What's a weird skill you have? The unexpected experience, the time you totally failed but learned something.
What's your equivalent of circus school? Or that bizarre Prince encounter? That thing that seems unrelated but might actually hold a key?
Could that seemingly insignificant detail from your past be the secret sauce for your next breakthrough? Your next aha moment?
It's definitely worth pondering. What hidden assets are you sitting on from your own unique journey?
We'd genuinely love to hear your stories too. What did this spark for you? Share them. Your surprising talent might just inspire someone else.